And I think you'll see through the course of season 1 that, his heart starts to open up. He's very mu we call him a lone wolf, a lot during the series because he's had moments for vulnerability and moments for kind of, like, intimate interaction, say, with my character, Reenie Green, or some of the other characters in the show, and he tends to really want to be alone. He wants to kind of, whenever he's going through things, isolate, and I think that's a lot of his lesson. We find out why because of his family history and what happened with his dad. And, he starts to blossom over the season with the help of kind of like some of the people in his close circle, my character. And yeah, I mean, things go missing. Episode 6, a horse goes missing, and you're like, why do I care about a horse? But you'll find out. Yeah, people, friends go missing and families try to track them down. Every episode there's a new case. And it's been a delight. It's been an absolute delight. I can't wait for you guys to watch the whole thing over there on the other side of the pond.
Yeah, and Fiona, I was just watching the trailer, and one thing that struck me was we have these sort of vivid sort of flashbacks to his sort of early childhood, and we
Yeah.
see a young boy that, dare I say, had a tough, really tough upbringing in terms of struggled with an awful lot of demons, an awful lot of personal
Yeah.
circumstances, tragedies, and it almost feels like it sort of shaped him into the man he is today in terms of
Yeah.
you got two different sorts of characters that we see. We see this young boy, and we see this guy trying to maybe distance himself from that life or that upbringing that he had, and maybe it's sort of he's still running away from it, dare I say.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
100%. I think you're dead on. And I think that, like, anybody who's had any kind of rough childhood, I mean, I don't know anybody's childhood which was like easy peasy breezy. Mine sure wasn't, but anybody that does kind of have a history of like some family trauma, we also create these stories in our head of what we think happened or who we blame, and I think we take that into our adulthood, and I think you'll see that a lot with Coulter and what his memories of his childhood are and how they kind of come to light later on in the series. And definitely with season 2, we'll find out more about that.
And tell us about your character, Renee Green. Where does you mentioned there a sort of a few intimate moments between her and Justin? Is there a bundling? Is it dare I say, is it professional in terms of their working relationship, or is there sort of
Yes.
hidden passions? Dare I say?
I think, uh, well, the history between Coulter and Reenie Green, um, they had a wild night together. Um, they had been in each other's midst before, and she points out in the pilot that he left in the middle of the night without saying goodbye, and she's never forgiven him. Um, but I think it's created a playful banter between them. When you sleep with someone, there's an immediate barrier that's been broken down. And I think that kind of started their relationship. And then as the series progresses, um, it's interesting. You can kind of feel the energy between their relationship, and the viewer watches the relationship mold and change as it's happening.
And tell us about her sort of tracker ability in terms of where she sort of fits in. Is she getting hands on in terms of the action as well? Is she very much involved in the sort of lost and, dare I say, lost and found in terms of missing people?
I think it gradually changes throughout season 1. As you watch the show, I mean, we just aired episode 11. And in episode 10, Reenie talks about her childhood a little bit more, about her older sister, about how her dad was similar to Coulter's dad in the sense that he got her out into nature and that she wasn't just a city bred kind of gal. Um, that she can fish like nobody's business. We find that out in episode 10. So I think those kind of attributes to Reenie kind of help her give Colter a little hand when it comes to some tracking things. Obviously, she can't track like him, but she went to Harvard. She's got a law degree. She's passed many bars. She is a very smart cookie, and I think she can do more than just kind of fight her way through a courtroom. So she does help in some senses of the word with things on, in the field.
Mm. And one thing that struck me, obviously, the location where you shot British Columbia,
Yeah.
Vancouver. Obviously, we know about the wilderness and some scenic spots in terms of forestry, in terms of nature, in terms of going into the deeps and the hearts of the nature sort of vibe, in terms of looking for people, the whole camping sort of element
Yeah.
works perfectly in terms of the whole tracker sort of sense. But is there certain episodes where you're looking for people, say, in big, massive cities, or people who are jumping for cities, or is it just the whole nature, people lost
No,
in
it's
the
both.
sort of
It's
boat?
definitely both. Episode, I want to say 7, we're in Chicago
Okay.
and we're looking for a friend of Bobby's, the one of the guys, he's like the hacker.
Mm.
Um Bobby's character has a friend go missing in Chicago. Coulter goes out to find her. I go and help as well. And we're in the middle of the city and it's like, beautiful big city, downtown, it's all kind of like downtown shots. There's like no
Yeah,
nature
rush
shots.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then in episode 10, we're in the middle of the wilderness, snow, trees, cabins. There's literally nothing for miles. So I think you're getting both. I think
Boat.
every episode is going to keep you on your toes. And I think the whole point is that you get to see, all over America. You should be able to see all of these sites. But we are shooting out of Vancouver, and a lot of it is on location. So we don't actually shoot at the studio every day. We like leave Vancouver and go to some random town outside of BC.
Yeah. And obviously, with a show like this, we're talking about Tracker. It gives opportunities or arise in terms of going forward, in terms of plots, in terms of that. Because I know you're shooting out of Vancouver, but there is also an opportunity maybe to do something down in further along the line, in terms of something down near Texas or El Paso, the Mexican border, or to gives the opportunities to do maybe something in Hawaii or
Oh,
Florida or something like that, in terms of making an international sort of a feel to it. It doesn't just have to be a
I
domestic sort of
mean,
thing in terms of
James,
winning time.
you're gonna need to call the writers, okay? Give them some ideas. Get us to Hawaii. I'll bring you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that because we're supposed to be all over the US and like possibly international, who knows where it could go, that we would be moving around even more outside of the Midwest or outside of the Northeast and maybe down into the South. I mean, that's where I'm from. Give me a t- give me, South Texas episode. I'm down.
Yeah, San Diego. San Diego,
Yeah,
you
let's go
just.
to San Diego. Let's go to the beach.
And Fiona, in terms of the schedule, in terms of shooting episodes of Tracker, in terms of, I suppose, when you go in and you get the script, say, of a Monday morning, and you have the sort of table read for each episode, and maybe there's probably a bit of block shooting that goes on during the week in terms of further episodes, maybe a concurrent episode that's a run-on episode. I'm not sure if they're all standalone episodes as such, but in terms of the turnaround from once you get that initial table read to the actual, that's a wrap for each episode. Are we talking maybe 8 to 9 day shoot per
Yeah.
episode?
You know, you good.
I've done
Yeah,
hundreds of these. I've done hundreds of these interviews, so you get fairly used to the lingo fairly
yeah,
quick.
the lingo. Yeah, we are not block shooting. We shoot episodically. I'll get my script on a Thursday evening and we'll start shooting on a Monday morning. Um, that's usually the case. I got a couple of days with maybe a week with a full script. And then that script changes up until the night before we shoot. And we're shooting each episode in about 8 days, which has been wild because that's kind of, as network TV. basics, 8 days per episode. But, some of these episodes, it's an hour long. I mean, it's an hour-long show. It's almost like a movie every single episode, and we've got all this action. I mean, episode 10, Justin jumped out of a plane. Like, it was like all this crazy action stuff, and so I'm so surprised how and impressed by the team to be able to get that much content shot in such a short period of time. And we haven't had table reads since the pilot. We really have just been we've got a core team. We bring in a big guest star every episode, and they get in 2 nights before we start shooting. So it's a quick turnaround on this one. It's fast paced.
You mentioned guest stars, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Supernatural Jensen Ackles, was he one of the guest stars on in
Yes,
terms of Tracker? Did I see that
you're
somewhere?
going to see Jensen Ackles very soon. He guest starred before the end of the season, and hopefully we'll get to see him more. I can't imagine us not seeing him more in season 2, but I think everyone's going to be very happy. The banter between Justin and Jensen, I mean, it's been written tabloids all over the place because people can't stop talking about it, but seeing it live, I'll have to post a video of the two of them backstage together. I mean, it is a joke. It's like, I think they have been friends for like 20 years. They grew up in doing soap operas around the same time. So, um, yeah, they've got a lot of rapport together, and it really feels like they're brothers. They've been through the ringer together. They've got banter. They take the piss a lot. So I think yeah, Jensen and Justin are great together. I think everyone's gonna be very happy.
And you mentioned there about sort of script and getting the script and the turnaround in terms of episode. I imagine just the writers and the producers to give you a little breathing space in terms of maybe running with your own ideas or a bit of off improv or something that sort of feels right at any second, and maybe someone adding maybe a sentence or a line here or two, and the writers say, "Oh, that's great, we'll add that in," or
Yeah.
is there a constant sort of exchange of ideas between production crew and the cast?
Sorry, there's a we're in Hollywood,
All good,
baby. Here we
all
go.
good, all good.
Yeah. To answer your question, and I hope everyone's safe and okay. Los Angeles Fire Department. There we go.
Okay.
Um, to answer your question, I think with as long as every role on the crew, writer, director, AD, actor, as long as everyone's respected and everyone is given the benefit of a doubt that they've got the best possible goal, which is to make this project the best, it has been such an honor and a dream to work with a team that is so genuinely collaborative. I mean, Ken Olin is more collaborative than maybe he even needs to be because he is always just like, yeah, what do you think? And um there has been many times, whether it was on purpose or not, whether I went home and actually thought of a cool idea or whether I was on set and I was just in the mode saying lines and then something just fell out of my mouth, that the writers have been like, "Hey, I saw that you said that," or "This worked great." And then there are times also where I'll try something and the script supervisor comes up and they're like, "Yeah, say it like it's written." And I'm like, "Cool." Because it's hard to know in the moment what's gonna work the best. My job is to feel it, and if it feels good and it feels right, but then there are so many other aspects to the process that I can't see or sense in that moment that I have to trust my team. So, to answer your question, it's very collaborative and we all kind of I mean, Justin especially, I don't know if you saw episode 10, but Justin had this moment in episode 10 where I'm in the trailer surprising him when he comes out of the shower, and we played with this line where I had the phone out and I was like taking pictures of him and he was like, "Don't take pictures," and it turned into me saying it's me taking video, and none of that was in the script. It was just me and Justin, shooting the shit behind the scenes and like having fun. And for someone who is such a profoundly like experienced actor who's been in the game a long time, he still is constantly looking for moments to play, which I have been like, oh my God, so grateful for.
And Fiona, in terms of the reaction, the buzz in terms of Tracker, you have the luxury of knowing that there's going to be a season two in terms of the Tracker due to the rave reviews. And some of the reviews, obviously, some of it saying the reaction that in terms of they haven't seen the sort of response in terms of since Young Sheldon premiered, in terms of that sort of first season that renewed, which went on for a good lot of sort of
Oh yeah.
several seasons as well. So honestly, to get that sort of recognition straight away, that for not even halfway to the airing of season one, and you already have a season two in the bag, and dare I say, if you can create create that buzz that is around at the moment from season one and season two, who knows, there could be a bit of longevity in this project.
I mean, fingers crossed, James, fingers crossed.
And Fiona, in terms of before we came on air, we said a quick just chat to you. You mentioned it's a busy time for you now at the moment in 2024 with an awful lot in the pipeline. You might enlighten our audience and our listeners in terms of what's going on in the world of Fiona Rene at the moment. And can we be
Wow.
seeing you on our TV screens or movie screens in the near future as well?
Yeah, aside from Tracker, I won't give away too much, but people should still check out Lincoln Lawyer season 3 when it drops. And I also just came out with this video game. We got nominated for a Peabody Award this year, so fingers crossed for that. It is called We Are OFK. You can get it on like PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch. It's a really fun interactive game. And then check out my podcast on Spotify or anywhere you can get podcasts. It's called Your Radical Being. We focus a lot on mental health and interpersonal relationships. So thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate this. Fun, James.
Okay. And Fiona, I do believe as well that you've been to the Emerald Isle once or twice, and dare I say, walked the streets of Dublin.
I have. Maybe I didn't walk them. Maybe I stumbled the streets of Dublin, but it
Crawled,
was
crawled.
yeah, I crawled along the streets. But it was such a blast. And I have Irish in my blood, so I felt like I was very much home there. Um, And then, I did come there once on tour with Bob the Builder live. It was many a year ago, but we went to Northern Ireland for that. And
What
it was so
role? What role did you play in Bob the Builder?
I oddly enough, I played one of the face characters, so I
Okay.
didn't have to wear the whole suit and skin thing, and my character's name was Holly Woods, and the
Okay.
story was Bob the Builder was going to Hollywood to perform a play.
Okay.
Um, I know, now we've come full circle, man.
Okay, and I imagine in terms of the stunt work in Bob the Builder was probably just as intense as what it was in Tracker.
Not exactly, but it definitely prepared me for sure.
Okay, okay. Fiona, for the final last 30 seconds, I'll turn it over to you. You might enlighten all our audience, all our listeners, why they should tune in en masse. Currently airing on our screens on channel Disney Plus, Tracker, starring Justin Hartley, Robin Wiegert, Eric Grace, Abby McCanley, and your own self playing Renee Green. And what's in store for them if they turn on their TV screens, or if they're watching in and want to catch up and go back and start from a scratch in episode one? What's going to be in
Yeah.
store when they
I
turn
mean,
on Tracker for the first time?
Tracker is going to tick the boxes of gritty, true crime, solving the mystery, but at the same time, there's like lightness, there's family connection, there's a lot of joking and banter, and then on top of all of that, there is a lot of love. There's a lot of love in this show, and it